Today, we are talking about the do's and don'ts of open houses. I don't have many don'ts, to be honest, but there's a lot of do's, and you don't have to do all of them. But obviously, like, the more you implement in your open houses, the more you get out of your open houses. Because I mean, obviously, there's two reasons to host an open house. Number one is that you're obviously trying to sell the listing, because that's the point of the open house. You're supposed to get people through to see if they like it and want to buy it or not. Two, though, is that you're trying to get clients. So a lot of times people will come through, and if it doesn't work for them, then you're able to get them as your client as well. It's really great to obviously prepare for your open house the best you can, so that you obviously have like your best foot forward when you're meeting new clients or possible clients, right? So Tony's going to be taking notes for me because it's hard for me to multitask and talk time. First and foremost, I think preparing for your open house is obviously very important. If you don't let people know well in advance, the likelihood of you having people show up is going to be slim to none. So if you host an open house and then you don't tell anybody about it, obviously nobody's going to show up. We've shot ourselves in the foot where it's like 2 days before a Saturday, our clients are like, yeah, let's host an open house this Saturday. And then no one shows up. And the reason for that is because not enough people have had time to see it. So I always say that when we host our open houses, we always want to advertise a week in advance. I think it's very important because when we host our open houses, we do a number of things. Number one, I strongly suggest you put it in the description of your listing on MLS. So you can go in and you can edit the MLS description, and I put it in the first line, like capital letters, open house, what day, what time. Please make sure to go back and delete this when your open house is over, though, because some agents put it there and it definitely makes you look silly. I definitely put it in the description. I think that's very important. And then there's a couple other things you can do as well for advertising. So number one would be that you are going to put it all over your social media. That is Facebook or Instagram, and run ads for that as well. You can also post it on or like Facebook classifieds. That is one good place to put that, and people don't get upset about it because it is a classified site. If you put it on other pages that aren't meant for that, then people obviously get upset. So you put it on like appropriate sites on Facebook. Okay. The other thing you can do is obviously advertise it on your story stuff. So if you're on Instagram, I would run a story and you can talk about it multiple times throughout the week as well. And you can actually, something that an agent here in town is doing that I'm like, oh, that's actually a really good idea. He's doing a draw for like every week for people who have shared stuff on Facebook. So say, for example, you have your post saying open house, and then you could actually put at the bottom being like, hey, share this for a chance to win a $50 gift card to your choice of like business in Kamloops. And then after the week, you'll look at how many people have shared it, which obviously gets out to a lot of people. It's important to friends and family to share on their Facebook. And then he would run a draw. But that's pretty amazing because it gets out really quickly that way. Callie just asked what a good amount to spend on ad spend for your open houses. I usually do about $100 per ad. I feel like that is pretty good. I mean, obviously you could go over and above that, but I probably wouldn't do less than that, to be honest, especially if you're running it for a week. I've noticed that when you run it for a week on $100, you get around like 5,000 exposure. And then we always target our ads as well, so that it's not just going out to literally everybody and anybody, because not everybody's interested in real estate either. So we also do a targeted ad audience, which is an option on your Facebook. And you can make sure that it's like going to people who have actually been looking at real estate on their media platforms. The algorithm can recognize that and just send it to them directly. Something else that I really like, and I think it is great for attracting seller leads when you host your open house, is that you can actually create a flyer. Again, you're going to have to plan this in advance. You can create a flyer on Canva, print those out, and then drop them off to the neighborhood. So like you can just go door knocking if you want to knock on the door and to talk to them and invite them to the open house, you can do that. Or you can just drop them off as well. So 2 options for them to invite them to the open house, or the other I was actually reading about earlier today, which is kind of like nice as well, is that you're not knocking on the door or leaving a open house notification with the intention of inviting to the open house. You're actually knocking on the door and just letting them know you're hosting one, so that if they see an influx of traffic going in and out of the house, they know why, as like a courtesy. And then it seems less of like a sales pitch, and it seems more of like you just being courteous to the neighbors, especially if there's limited parking. So that's 2 options. I mean, you can really do whichever one you like. I've done it where I've invited people to the open house. The courtesy note is kind of well, but our open houses aren't like crazy busy, I would say. So letting them know that they might see an influx of traffic and then it doesn't happen might be kind of weird. I don't know.
Oh, so I have that note wrong? The intentions. Sometimes
You
it cuts out on my end.
either or. Like
Good.
if you want to drop off a flyer as like a you're invited, totally do that. If you don't want to do it that way because you feel weird and salesy, I would just do it as like a hi, just wanted to be a friendly neighbor and let you know there's going to be an influx of traffic on this day because we're doing an open house. Feel free to stop by. But the reason I'm dropping this off is more just as a courtesy to let you know.
Is there anything you do with the homeowner before an open house?
We kind of just tell them to set it up like a showing. So, I mean, we make sure that they put away like all of their stuff. Obviously, make sure it's clean. This is actually in the don't. This is in my don't section. It says like don't leave out expensive items like jewelry. You don't want people to leave out phones or tablets. Some people leave cash on their night table or like their prescription drugs like in their bathroom. And like obviously want to put all that stuff away because while you're hosting the open house, I would love to say that the agent can be with the person 100% of the time, but it's just you don't want to be on top of them either, right? Like you want them to be able to look around freely. So like making sure that stuff's put away is important, especially if you get 2 people in there at the same time. I know that when it was really busy, Jill hosted one and she was like, I can't have this many people in here. And she actually stopped people at the door and was like, I'm really sorry, but you're just going to have to wait and I'll take people through one at a time because it was so busy. And obviously to make sure that like the seller's home was secure, she had to take people through one at a time. I mean, obviously if you have a few people in there, it's not a big deal. But if you end up getting an influx of people and you just can't follow them all around, making sure your important things are put away is really, really good. Even like sentimental value things, those should be put away too. Because I do remember an agent saying that this wasn't at an open house, this was at a showing. And one of the teddy bears went missing that was on one of the beds. And it was it was sentimental and it was like this older couple. So I think the teddy bear was probably like handed down through generations or something like that. It was a very, and then you couldn't track down where it went. So yeah, making sure all that stuff's put away. Did anyone have anything they want to add that could be good for like advertising in advance for the house? Also make sure that you do add it on the open house tab on like exposure / interface press. That's for like our interior realtors. I mean, obviously if you're not our board and you're listening to this, yours is going to be in a different spot than ours. But if you don't put it on there, again, you're kind of missing the window because when we add open houses onto our listing, it actually populates onto like realtor.ca and stuff. Callie just said this as well. You can tell she's the marketing girl because she is talking about email blasts, which is really good idea. And then letters as well. Like if you have a letter, you can definitely put your open houses in your newsletter to let everybody in your system know that you're going to be hosting an open house. And the more people you expose it to, better. So I think that we can probably move on to what happens at the open house now. Something that we have done in the past, we've only ever done in the past. And I think that it's actually a really great idea. And it's cool because Erin's here. She is a mortgage broker. So it's actually really cool to partner up with a mortgage broker and they can even host the open house with you because it's a good opportunity for them to get clients as well. And so we did this once before and I had no idea that this was even an option. Like it's actually really, really cool. So the mortgage broker actually went and took the listing and crunched the numbers on what it would be like for someone to buy that house. If they were in a fixed rate, if they had a house to sell with a certain amount of equity, like if they put down 10%, 20%, it had all these different options for people, which is kind of nice too. And like I said, it gives the opportunity for the mortgage broker to also obtain clients. I think it adds value to the clients that are at. Erin, did you have anything? Have you ever been to any open houses before? Yeah.
Yeah, I have. And I do those feature sheets. Even when I don't necessarily always go, I'll still do those. And it's been a great way to meet clients. So if anybody wants them done, I'm happy.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea.
Busy open house too, because like I can go with a group and like I let them know that I'm the mortgage broker, not the realtor, but I can stay with a group and the realtors with another group. So it kind of just gives the homeowner like a little bit more people in the house to be, watching people and things like that.
More security.
Yeah, more secure.
Yeah, totally. And like I was actually thinking about that because we're going to be hosting, Denver actually is going to be hosting an open house next Sunday, the 11th, the new listing that we have on Pine Ridge. And it's a huge house. And I'm like, how, if another group comes through and so then I was like, oh, maybe I should go too. But then now with the mortgage broker thing, we should talk about it if you're available. It would kind of be cool to have, because it's like 4,000 square feet. Plus it has a huge shop and like it's an acre. So what are you supposed to do when you have that much ground to cover? And there's only, I think that having a broker there is like really, really, and again, it adds value to the seller, which is kind of the main point of hosting the open house too, right? So
yeah, I've got lots of interesting questions that I don't think they would have necessarily phoned me for, but that they were just happy to kind of like talk some things out. Because a lot of times people are like selling and buying, they're in the preliminary process when they're at open houses and they don't really know how to get started necessarily.
Yeah. I think a lot of people think that buying and selling real estate is a linear process. And there is not really like a point A and like a point D. All these, and they don't always there's not one that always comes before the other. There's so many little pieces. Whenever I'm talking to clients, I always talk to them about it as like a puzzle. And I'm like, we just have to get all these puzzle pieces and put them together so that we can get you there. There's not one that comes before the other. There's a bunch of different ways you can put them together.
Yeah, exactly.
Something else that's really great is obviously making sure you have a good brand awareness when you're at your open house. And this goes for realtors and brokers. You're going to be leaving stuff at the open house for people. Make sure that it has all your contact information. Make sure it has really strong brand awareness. And you can even leave stuff behind that you would be happy for them to take home. So say, for example, maybe you have like branded pens or you have magnets or whatever. You can leave those behind as well. People are more than happy to take free pens. I know that I am. I have a Kelson Group 1 in my hand right now because it writes very nicely. But with the brochure, obviously they're going to want to take it home, and obviously you're going to write down all the key features of the home. And if they keep that, it's just like brand awareness for you and having something that they're going to hold on to for a long time. It just kind of brings your brand back to their memory, right? So there's that. I had written something down that I thought was a really great idea. Where did I put it? Oh, this one was really cool too. And I haven't done this before, but I did see it at a listing a couple weeks ago. And it put out signs to call out unique features in different rooms. So say, for example, I mean, even with this house that we're talking about, the one on Pine Ridge, it has so many things and you only get so many characters when you are doing your listing description. So trying to jam pack that all in there is very difficult. So we were actually able to get it all in. Surprisingly, I was apparently good at abbreviating a lot of the other day. You can do like a feature sheet, number one, or the other thing you can do again is that you can get like an easel or like cute little clipboards, and you can put in like features in each room. So for example, is like a heated towel rack in that room. So then you could leave the little sign saying like heated towel rack here. For example, maybe there is like under counter lighting in this room, then you could put that there. Or if they have heated floors, like there's a barn the other day that had heated floors in the barn. You have no idea that it had heated floors unless someone told you. Sign like that in that room would obviously be really beneficial. But it's kind of fun for people to walk around and kind of find signs of all the key features as well. So I like that one. Having snacks and drinks. I think that this is hilarious, but even with our realtor tour, agents are more likely to go to, so we rotate to North Shore, South Shore every week. And the ones that draw a gift card and the ones that have snacks and drinks, those are the ones that the realtors go to most. So being a consumer, I'm assuming that the consumer would feel and that they would love to snack drinks when they're at the open house. So if you can bring something, we do have a lot of little local eateries here in town. Like there's Salted Pig Catering that they could do like a charcuterie board for you to take to the open house. There used to be these really yummy cinnamon buns at Chelsea's Bakery. And I don't think that I think with COVID, it got shut down, but they were the best cinnamon buns ever. I remember taking those to my open houses. They're so good. You can bring cupcakes, cinnamon buns, boards, you name it.
So on TV, like when they say bake some cookies in the oven or like put that vanilla extract out, that's actually a thing that you guys do?
I've had some clients do it, but I'm talking about like just not making it there, but like just bringing it there so that when people come to the open house, they have something in their hands when they're like walking around. And food makes them happy, right? If you can keep them there longer, that's obviously a good thing. I had a client though that used to boil cinnamon sticks. I mean, I didn't go in when she had the cinnamon sticks because obviously it was like the buyer's agents that were going through, but I had one buyer's agent reach out to me and was like, what is she like doing? Like, what's that smell? It's so nice and it's not overpowering. And so I told them, and she was like, I'm going to take that and tell my other stuff to do that, because sometimes people put like essential oils or like incense or even like those melting things. And sometimes it can be really overpowering. And there's some people who are sensitive to smell and they like can't even, like they can't handle it. So subtle is always.
People also say if there is a smell, what are they trying to hide? So if it's too overpowering, then people think, oh, they're trying to hide something.
I have heard that so many times too, Cheryl. You're right. That they're like, is there like mold? Like, is there a musk smell down here? Don't know, because it's so overpowering. But yeah, I've definitely heard that before too.
No smell is the best smell.
Right? Like if you're gonna do anything, make it subtle, but honestly, don't do anything if you can.
Clean is the best smell.
Yeah. My mother-in-law loves Pine Sol, and like sometimes we'll go to her house and then they'll like reek like Pine Sol, and I'm like, why? And she's like, it smells clean. I'm like, no. I hate Pine Sol so much. So
I told you about that house cleaning. Like the Pine Sol was in my clothes from the other girl using it.
Oh my
I had to
God.
take it off and shower after. Yeah.
I forgot that she used Pine Sol. You're right. Oh,
It must have been. I don't know what else could have had that strong of a scent that it would cling to me.
so funny.
I just need to add something to that.
Yeah.
My mom, and hopefully this can get edited out, but my mom, I caught her one time boiling Pine Sol with water.
Why?
Because she loves the smell so much.
Jesus.
I was like, Mom, no, that's like pure chemical. She's like, no, it's pine. I'm like, no, it's not. Go get a pine.
Go get a pine tree and boil it. Don't freaking boil Pine Sol.
Yeah, I was like, Mom, no, we need to shut this down right now.
Okay, does anyone have anything else they want to add so far? Because I do have a couple of things, but I just wanted to see what if you guys have anything else to add so far about like branding and stuff like that in the open house. No, we're good? Okay. Something that we do, and I feel like I will never not do this, it's extremely purposeful, is that we run a draw at all of our open houses. So I remember when I first started, I started in like an old school team. So like the leader of the team had been around, I think he's had his license for 40 years, but times have changed, right? And so I remember going to my open houses and I always had a sign-in sheet, and it had like name, phone number, email. I was told you always get them to sign in. Anyways, and so I tried and I tried and I tried and I tried. No one ever signed. And I was like, I'm so nice. Why won't they sign in? And I don't get it. People don't want to sign in. So anyways, another team that I was on was like, you need to do a draw for a gift card. And when they do the draw for the gift card, it was always like a Visa gift. I never knew what people wanted, which I don't love Visa gift cards, but at the end of the day, for people to be able to spend it on whatever the heck they want. And so we would do a draw. So there's like a little thing that they would fill out, and it says like draw, like open house draw. And then it says like name, phone number, email. Would you like to subscribe to our newsletter? And then they can say yes or no. Anyways, and when they fill that out, then it goes into the draw. And then that gives us the contact info in order to follow up with them in the future. Because again, one of the main reasons that we do open houses is try to get clients. And so if you're not getting their contact info and you're not able to follow up with them, you kind of just spend all this energy for nothing. Well, not for nothing, because again, you sell the house. But I mean, you might as well double dip. So doing a draw for a gift card, I think, is probably one of the most important things you never skip. And then you always, always, always follow up. So there is statistics out there that say that you need to touch the client between 5 to 8 times in order for them to actually, like, number one, recognize your name, and then build trust and rapport with you enough that they actually want to work with you. So make sure you get contact information, and those follow-ups don't have to be phone calls every single time, right? So you can send them an email to follow up. You can send them a text message. You can call them. You can send them some listings similar to the one that you posted an open house at, all as follow-ups. But you want to make sure that you get their contact info and add them into your CRM so that you don't forget about them in the future, because it's very easy to forget about people. Another thing that I always, always, always do at an open house is that I always do a Facebook Live video. Now, I don't think that I've ever had anybody buy a house from a Facebook Live video, but at the same time, again, it's like brand awareness for me. People know that I'm working. They get to see the listing that I'm at. Kind of the more exposure that you have and the more that you're out there, the more people want to work with you, right? Like if you're kind of like hiding and nobody knows what you're doing, that's obviously not going to serve you. So make sure you do a Facebook Live. And then something that I saw an agent do the other day, which was brilliant, again, by the way, she actually was like, hey, message me for your private virtual showing. So, because she's there. And I was like, that's brilliant, because there's a lot of people who might like want to look through the house. And if you're on your Facebook Live and you're kind of doing a fast little video because you don't want to like drag it on, they might have had questions on certain things that they didn't get to ask, right? And this private virtual tour, it's kind of like an option. I don't know if anybody asked her for one, but at least you know that it's an option. The other one that I saw that I didn't think of either, which is actually a cool idea, is to plan open houses with neighboring listings. So, I mean, that would probably be a good option for us as well, being out of town. In property that I'm talking about is about 20 minutes from here. So if there's any other in Lac Lejeune, then it would actually be kind of cool to get them to do an open house as well, because now you actually have more reason for people to go out. Because 20 minutes, while that's not far for us, I feel like everything in Kamloops is relatively close. I do understand that, but sometimes people are like, oh, I don't really feel like driving 20 minutes out there. So if you can get more than one reason for them to go out there, then that is going to increase the amount of people that come through the open house as well. When we did our barrier one, we hosted 3, all at the same time. And each person actually went and shopped at each listing, which was pretty cool too. Does anyone have anything that they want to add to that?
I don't have any new suggestions, but I do like that idea where you can let people know that they can do a virtual tour with you while you're there. So, because there have been open houses that I wanted to see, and I couldn't go because Lucas was napping. Sorry, Callie?
Oh, I was just saying, yeah, I agree, Tony. I think that's brilliant.
The other one that I have written down, that it depends on what agent is hosting the open house. So if you are, sometimes agents that aren't the list agent will promote the open house or will be the host of the open house. But this one wouldn't really serve them. However, it's still kind of nice to just collaborate with other agents. There is one other note that I had that said to promote to other agents in the city. So, right, because then it'll increase traffic flow. So the one thing that I'm thinking when we do that is that if you did want to promote to other agents in the city, you could say, hey, we're hosting an open house. If you aren't free on Sunday and you have clients that want to get through, like I'm going to be there to open the door for them. So please send them through. Even if you're not able to like get them as your own client, at least it's getting people through the house, be the house, right? So promoting it to other agents that if they're not available and they had clients that might be interested, that like feel free to send them through. I'll open the door for them. No problem. That was the last one that I had, but I thought that that was a good option as well. I like collaborating with other agents. I feel like we're in this very like competitive business that doesn't really need to be competitive. Like there's enough business to go around and like supporting. That was actually a really nice thought that I stumbled upon. So does anybody have any other ones that they want to add for the dues? There's a lot of them.
I think that's pretty good. I'm not sure what else you could really do. That's pretty thorough.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot. Okay,
Yeah.
so the don'ts then of open houses is that I have a few of these, and I never even thought that this would be an issue, but somebody has obviously had this happen in the past, and that's why it was on the list when I was doing. One says, do not allow the seller to attend the open house, which is like 100%. I just had no idea that sellers would want to stay. I don't think that that is good because anytime I have ever had, just coming from the buyer's perspective, is that I have had lots of clients go through with myself and the seller is there and they always comment how awkward it is when the seller is there because they don't want to look in the cupboards and see what type of like shelving they have. They don't want to open the closets to see like how big they are. They kind of tiptoe around, right? Because it feels weird rummaging through someone's house when the seller's there. So I do strongly agree that the seller should not be there for the open house. And the other one too, that again, I never even thought of, but 100% is that make sure people take their pets out of the house. And I don't think you should have to take a cat to the house, but if you don't want the cat to be let outside, like if you have a client that says, please do not let my cat out, I would strongly suggest that they go in a kennel or that they take them out for the day because you, again, can't control every single thing that goes on at the open house. So the husband might go this way, the wife might go that way, and someone let the freaking cat out by accident. So I think it's really important to have those conversations with your clients about making sure that the dog is not there and that you're going to take, if the cats aren't allowed outside, make sure that they are either in a kennel or taken somewhere else because again, you don't want to have, actually funny story too about this, that there was a cat that was outside and this wasn't at an open house. This was just like at a showing and the cat snuck in. And I was like, I hope this freaking cat belongs at this house because otherwise I'm like letting some random cat into this house. And so I started like looking at photos on the wall and trying to see if this was like a family cat or not. And I could not figure it out for the life. I like shoot it back outside because I was like, what if this cat doesn't belong here? So funny.
You never know. Our neighborhood has one cat that does try to get into my house, and it's gotten into the shed and everything. Like it's just too friendly.
Too friendly. It's really funny. I know. So definitely having that conversation. Also, like same with like dogs in kennels. Like I don't necessarily mind when a dog is in a kennel, but then at the same time, like I do know again from a buyer's perspective that like it's hard for us to look in a room that has a dog in a kennel that's like whining and barking at you. While it might not seem like a big deal, now that I've seen it on both sides, it's not comfortable for the dog, number one. Right? Because they don't know who's in their house. Their job is to like protect their house. And now you have like a wall between you and weird people that you've never met before, which probably doesn't feel very good. And then two, on the buyer side, like you kind of like open the door, you look, and then you close it really fast because you just don't want to like disturb them. Right. So if at all possible, definitely is a better option. I already talked about leaving your expensive stuff out and sentimental things. Do not do that. And the other one is do not follow up with the clients. That was the other one. And other than that, that's all I have.
Don't help yourself to the homeowners' things in
Milk.
the fridge or the cupboards. Yeah, specifically their milk.
Also, I guess here's another one too that I just thought of. If you aren't like, I would ask the homeowner or at least like check out the floors, but make sure people take their shoes off. I think that that's really important too. I have some clients that just like walk in their house freely with shoes on. I mean, I kind of do it in my house, but I'm the one who mops my damn floors. So, I mean, it's my choice. Having a sign down at the front door, I think is really great too. These things that I literally just thought about, you should put a sign on the door that says like open house, come on in, because you're not going to be standing at the door waiting. And I know that there's a lot of people who like feel awkward and they're like, do I just walk into the house? Do I, right? Like, they're just like, should I knock first? Do I just walk in? And so I've actually had people when we're inside the house and they call the number on the sign like, hey, can we just go in? Because they don't know what to do, right? Like, it's kind of like out of people's comfort zones. So making a sign on the front door saying like, just come on in, and a sign that says like, please remove your shoes if it's obviously important for them to do so. Sometimes sellers don't care. They're like, yeah, for sure, just wear your shoes. But if not, please make sure to make a sign, because it's awkward to ask someone to their face, hey, you're wearing your shoes, can you please take them off? Where if you had a sign it, or they would just take them off.
Have you ever had issues with people in the home? Like obviously if you're looking at someone's house to buy, you wouldn't look through their dresser. Like, that's not staying with the house. Like, have you ever had issues where you had to, where like people really got too snoopy or anything?
No, everybody that comes through is really good. Like, I've never had an issue before. I mean, like I said, where I was doing an open house with, who was I doing that open house with? I think it was Cam McKean when I worked with him at River City Realty. I think that an open house together at this place downtown. Not this house was like one of the old like historic houses, and it was very up, and we couldn't keep track of all the people that came through. I think we had 11 groups in, and I was like, oh no. And like, it was kind of just like too late. Everyone was kind of already going through. That was kind of like the only issue that I've ever had, but nothing happened, thankfully. I'm trying to think if there was any other occasion. I don't think so. People have been really good.
Yeah, I feel like people for the most part would be quite respectful, but
Mm-hmm. Yeah, even when I like through for showings and stuff, I've never had anyone be disrespectful. I think they know that like you're with them. I think the things that happen when people are disrespectful, it's when they think they're alone. Right? Because they always get
been housed up before. Like when we were selling our last house, I came home and like you could see that someone had been on the bed.
Oh, you know,
So
it was probably
what?
probably a kid.
Oh, yeah. That makes
Because
sense.
you know what happens? Every time I take my kids, they try and jump on the damn bed. It happens
Okay.
all
Like testing it out.
all the time. Like Huxon, he'll just run and try and jump on it. I'm like, don't touch the bed. But like sometimes it's like it happens. There was actually one occasion that I had where it was really funny. Hadley, she was like 3 or 4, and the little boy, the client's little boy that I had that was with us as well was also 3 or 4. They ran into the little kid's bedroom, jumped in the bed together, and started reading a book. So I mean, like, okay, let's quickly snap a photo because they're really fucking cute, and then we're gonna put this. But you can still tell that it's not the same, right? So I mean, it sucks, and like kids' toys get played with, and like I think that's what happened with the stuffed animal, right? Sentimental stuffed animal that person complained about, but like I think it's more kids than anything, because an adult, I've never had an adult really do anything like that. It's more like the kid that's with them, or like my kid rummaged through things, like empties the toy bin, and I'm like, Jesus. And sometimes we just let them, I mean, I don't know if you're allowed to do this, but sometimes I just let them play with the toys, because like you're trying to go through the house and you're trying to have a conversation with the parents. And
the lesser of two evils at that point.
Yeah. Right. So, but then I also had like someone message me saying that like their kid's cardboard rocket ship was wrecked. And I was like, but we actually didn't have kids with us. So I was like, well, like none of us adults played with the kids' rocket ship. Little things like that do kind of happen, which is kind of unfortunate. Yeah. Usually there's a good explanation for it. Usually. Anyways, did you guys have anything else that you want to add? I think that's good for today. Look at us. We have record timing. We did that for 40 minutes.
How about, like, let's say your listing is sitting for a while. How often would you throw an open house?
I think it depends, because I find that you get less traffic on an open house the longer it's been on the market. So if I was going to do an open house and the house has been on the market for a while, I would probably take it off the market and then put it back on, make it look brand new again, and put the open house in the description and then host it that following weekend. It wouldn't be that I would just throw an open house on a place that's been listed for a few weeks. I think there would have to be like a number of things that kind of go with it just to try and like up the traffic. You can host open houses on them at any time and as many times as you want, but eventually you're not going to have anyone show up because anybody in that price range and or like looking for something similar to that has already seen it, right?
That makes sense. Yeah.
Normally I would do it again after following a price reduction. I would take it off the market, put it back on brand new price, new listing description, open house that weekend. So then it would like reattract people. Okay, well, thank you guys so much for coming today. I always appreciate it when we have a lot of people show up. So hopefully you guys got value and I will see you next week.